Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. This is the fifth volume of this series of sins I've been covering. This one is focused on the reason why I wanted to talk about this is also because this year I've focused on my consumption or overconsumption of food. I've talked to people about gluttony, but to my surprise, often people seem perplexed at the suggestion of it being a problem. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we step away from our world of digital information and work consumption and socialize around food only to return to our busy lives. Food is not necessarily consumed for nutrition, restoration, and healthy functioning. It, in my perspective, has become the opposite. We are in a time where calorie consumption is at its highest with minimal effort, and as a result, our brains and bodies have become addicted to the pleasure the consumption of food offers. So why do we experience this scarcity mindset concerning food, and how do we become aware of it? In the psychological realm, eating disorders have become mainstream. Many people have started to look at eating disorders as a form of addiction and as a form of control that people can exercise when things seem to get chaotic. Ultimately, controlling our food consumption and body image makes people feel this momentary relief when everything else seems unmanageable. For other people, it is also a way of avoiding difficult emotions or feelings, hence the term comfort food. For me, personally, when I was struggling with binging, it was because I felt this sense of scarcity and I had to get all the snacks around me into my mouth. And that would offer me a fleeting sense of pleasure, which I would keep chasing. And I also struggled with a lack of self-restraint. I had many moments where I would fall into binge eating and then starve myself to make up for the calories and to mitigate the guilt I was feeling internally. This food addiction is a common issue where people will either binge, purge, or cyclically do both. Ultimately, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the taste of food. However, it becomes an issue when overindulgence or overconsumption occurs. In many parts of the world, the problem is not limited to food, but also extends to drinking. Alcohol consumption is a significant issue globally, and many people drink in excess for the same reasons I previously mentioned. We have become a society that lacks resilience and the capacity to sit with our emotions and face them head on. So unfortunately, we will attach to anything that will offer us momentary relief. And food is one of those things that often can go unnoticed, and it is socially acceptable to go out for meals. What has perpetuated this issue further is the type of food we consume. Rich, sugary, processed, and calorie-dense food. All of this also impacts our physical and mental health, making us lethargic, foggy, and sluggish. Restraint, moderation, and discipline are words often used as impossible ideals one cannot achieve. So therefore, why even try? Giving into one's desires and pleasures is easier than practicing restraint and moderation. There's no fun in the latter, and why miss out when life is too short? Unfortunately, there's a short-sighted view and belief, and then one forgets about one's role in this world and pursuing spiritual growth. Asceticism and restraint have been preached throughout history, starting with the ancient Greeks, where the Stoic philosopher Seneca warned against becoming a slave to one's belly. Christian theology also preached asceticism and put gluttony under one of the 7 deadly sins. Buddhism also talks about the middle way of not overindulgence, but mindful consumption to sustain the body for spiritual practice. In Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita also recommends moderation regarding diet. Islam, however, offers a solution to practicing self-restraint and guides against overindulgence by promoting moderation and gratitude, especially concerning food. Once a year for an entire month, Muslims are required to fast during Ramadan. The purpose of Ramadan is to void one of all pleasures and find a sense of gratitude for sustenance, empathy for the poor, and practicing self-discipline. If one misses a fast in Ramadan and cannot make it up, that individual must feed the equivalent of 60 people. Obviously, that's in the case if one is healthy and not sick or had any other physical restraints that prevented them from fasting. So if one's healthy and can fast, and if they choose not to, that's when they must feed the equivalent of 60 people, which shows the significance of the fast. Now, the reminder of moderation and restraint is throughout the Quran and is beautifully encapsulated in Surah Al-Araf. So we'll recite the English version here. He has guided some, while others are destined to stray. They have taken devils as their masters instead of Allah, thinking they are rightly guided. O children of Adam, dress properly whenever you are worshipped. Eat and drink, but do not waste. Surely he does not like the wasteful. Furthermore, the idea of balance that is reflected in other traditions is further emphasized in the Quran, Surah Al-Furqan. I'll recite the English version. They are those who spend neither wastefully nor stingily, but moderately in between. The concept of restraint and moderation in consumption has been around for a very long time. Now we are seeing science-backed data that demonstrates the benefits of fasting. We also know of chronic issues such as diabetes, heart problems, obesity, and brain health that are coming to the forefront with the overconsumption of food. I have also come to realize that everything we consume through our senses has energy, including food, and the type of food and how much we consume impacts our spiritual health. In a world that is mired in gluttony, it has become increasingly crucial to restrain ourselves and remember why fasting is prescribed as one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Again, thank you for checking out this series of Sin. As I mentioned, this is the 5th volume. We still have one more to go. If you're enjoying this series, please subscribe to the channel, please share, and also please check out my Substack, which I will post in the description.